In early 2025, on a cold winter morning, Ashley Elkins, a mother of two, left her home in Warren, Michigan to run a few errands and never returned. After 5 days of searching, her car was discovered parked outside an apartment complex in Roseville, close to the last location her phone had pinged. The investigation that followed uncovered a disturbing crime scene, hours of unsettling surveillance video, and a difficult search through a landfill. As investigators gathered more evidence, the truth finally began to emerge. On the morning of January 2, 2025, 30-year-old Ashley Elkins left her house in Warren, Michigan to run a few errands. The mother of two sons, aged 7 and 10, left her boys with her younger sister. She was not meant to be away from them for very long. Ashley drove her silver Malibu to a 7-Eleven at around 8 a.m. that morning. She was captured on camera parking and entering the store. Throughout the morning, she exchanged sporadic messages with her mother, Monica. At just after 9 a.m., however, these messages abruptly ceased. Monica had a sixth sense that something was not right. At 9:06 a.m., she texted her daughter about an upsetting dream she had the night before, that her daughter's car had been stolen. The response she received unsettled her further. It read simply, "Oh man." Such a strange response from her daughter. And after that, silence. Monica Elkins tried to FaceTime her daughter, but Ashley didn't answer. She drove to her house, but Ashley had already left. Hours later, another family member received a text from Ashley stating that she was heading to a specific beauty supply store. Shortly after, her phone was turned off and then later turned back on, though there was no further communication. Unable to reach her, the family did what they could to track her down. Ashley's sister, Alexis, tracked Ashley's phone using the Find My iPhone app, which showed her last known location was at an apartment in the 2900 block of Pinehurst Street in Roseville, Michigan. The address was a familiar one. It was the home of Ashley's ex-boyfriend, 32-year-old DeAndre Booker. Members of Ashley's family, including her mother, sister, and the father of her two boys, went out to the apartment to look around. Her car wasn't in the parking lot. There was no response at DeAndre's door. Monica spoke with police that evening. She could only speculate as to why Ashley would be at DeAndre's apartment that morning. They had broken up months earlier, and to her knowledge, they were no longer involved. Monica told police that it wasn't like Ashley to go over there. She felt like if Ashley had some kind of problem, DeAndre was the type of person who would help out. The Elkins family had reason to suspect DeAndre Booker had something to do with Ashley's disappearance. They had at one time accepted him as family. Ashley and DeAndre were together for approximately a year, during which time he met her relatives. They bonded over the holidays and he regularly helped out with her boys. Though after their breakup the previous September, Ashley had consciously distanced herself from her ex. When he called, she did not answer. In the weeks before she went missing, Ashley told some family members that she believed DeAndre may have been following her. As soon as Ashley went missing, her family grew concerned that he may have abducted her. Just days before, DeAndre had attempted to trick Ashley into letting him into her house by making an appointment under a fake name with her hair styling business, which she ran from home. A family member explained that he came to the house acting like he was a client and had made an appointment with her. She was expecting that client. Turned out to be him. They were in the house briefly. She told him to be quiet. He knocked on the front door and the side door and then he left. 2 days later, she was gone. 5 days after she went missing, Ashley's silver Malibu was discovered in the parking lot of an apartment complex near 13 Mile and Little Mac in Roseville. This location was 4 miles from the complex where her ex-boyfriend lived. The keys had been left on the seat. Family members expressed their deep concern. They had been out passing out flyers and searching after getting off work. They had been out there all weekend. They were very concerned. Ashley was a good person, a mother of two. Beyond anything else, that was the main focus. She had babies. That was their focus as a family and as a community. She loved her family and her kids. She would never just disappear for this many days. Investigators began to trace Ashley's movements from the morning of January 2nd. A camera facing the parking lot of DeAndre Booker's apartment building on Pinehurst Street captured Ashley entering the lot that morning. She was shown wearing the same clothing she was wearing earlier at the 7-Eleven, an orange shirt, black jacket, and dark jeans. A few hours later, at just after noon, two figures were captured moving towards Ashley's vehicle. The male in dark jeans, a black coat, and hat appeared to be DeAndre Booker. The woman, investigators assumed, must be Ashley, except she was wearing different clothing. The angle of the camera did not allow for an accurate identification. The couple got into the car. After a pause and brief exchange, the woman got into the driver's side, and they took a left out of the complex. The car never returned. 2 days after Ashley went missing, DeAndre placed a call to Roseville police telling them that he suspected his apartment had been broken into. He had not stayed there the night before, nor did he meet officers at his door when they arrived to investigate. Officers reported that they found the door to the unit unlocked and sitting slightly ajar. For this reason, they let themselves inside. As they made their way through the living room and down the hallway towards the bedrooms and bathroom, they noted a number of curious and unsettling signs. Ones that indicated the apartment had been the location of a brutal, likely deadly incident. The unit had been very recently cleaned using a significant amount of bleach. The scent of cleaning products lingered in the air. On the sofa, a pair of yellow rubber gloves sat discarded on the cushion. A laptop and headphones sat out on the tabletop in plain view, suggesting the apartment had not in fact been burgled. It was in the bathroom where alarm bells went off, prompting officers to immediately seal off the scene and call for further support. 2 bottles of bleach sat out, one on the counter next to the sink and a second on the floor next to the bathtub. The shower curtain was missing. The plug to the bath drain was in the middle of the tub. The drain itself appeared to have small items sitting just inside it. Using a pair of tweezers, the responding officer pulled the visible bits of debris from the drain. Remnants of a blood-like substance had been caught on a few hairs. Also visible to the naked eye were small spatter stains on the tiles, against the side of the bathtub, on the baseboards, the floor, and on the back of the bathroom door. The countertop surrounding the sink was mostly clean, but the cupboard doors below were not. From the bathroom, attention was drawn down the hallway where spatter was noted on the closet door and the walls. In the kitchen, searchers found a box of heavy-duty garbage bags. A few had been used. There was also a second set of lighter pink-colored bags that seemed to be used throughout the rest of the unit. The waste bin in the kitchen was empty. A fresh heavy-duty garbage bag was placed inside. A mop showed the signs of an attempted cleanup. Later, a forensic team applied a luminol solution to the walls and floors and revealed the extent of cleaning that had been undertaken in the bathroom and hallway. A plumber was then called in to take apart the pipes in the apartment. From the drain in the bathtub, they pulled out a bullet fragment, 1 silver hoop-style earring, and a small clump of hair. Underneath the couch, police found a handgun. It was registered to DeAndre Booker. Ashley Elkins entered her ex-boyfriend's apartment on the morning of January 2nd, and it was now heartbreakingly obvious that she did not leave alive. The same camera that captured Ashley entering the complex that morning also caught DeAndre going back and forth from his unit to the parking lot and surrounding areas for hours later that day. At about 3 p.m., DeAndre carried what appeared to be a large cardboard box towards a dumpster that sat in the far corner of the parking lot, in the top right view of the camera. It was dark by the time he resumed his activities outside. At around 11 p.m., a figure was shown crossing the street to the 7-Eleven. From there, the figure returned pushing a shopping cart. Shortly afterwards, he emerged again, this time carrying a pink bag to the dumpster. These trips to various garbage dumpsters around the complex continued for hours. At 1 a.m., he carried a larger heavy-duty black garbage bag to the north parking lot, where another dumpster was used to dispose of another bag. By 4 a.m., a figure that again emerged from his building was captured walking, visible only in silhouette along the tree line that separated Pinehurst complex from the buildings next to it. Again, the figure carried a large dark bag towards a dumpster, then was shown returning to DeAndre's building, no longer carrying the trash bag. Footage captured just after 4 a.m. on January 3rd was the most disturbing. DeAndre reemerged with the shopping cart, but it was no longer empty. DeAndre first walked towards the dumpster on the left side of the parking lot and found the fence blocking his path. He was seen backtracking with his cart and then pushing it along the walkway to the right of the screen, eventually reaching the dumpster at the far left corner of the camera's vision. His movements at this point were almost entirely concealed by the darkness. However, analysis of shadows revealed DeAndre attempting to lift a heavy object from the cart into the dumpster. He failed at first and must have collected the object from the ground. With some effort, he was able to lift it in. He then appeared to empty more items from the cart into the bin. DeAndre was captured at the dumpster for nearly 5 full minutes. It was just before 5 a.m. By the time police uncovered the surveillance footage from around the apartment complex, the garbage collection had already taken place. The items that DeAndre had so painstakingly disposed of in the dead of the night were gone. There were, however, traces left behind. Police seized the dumpsters and began analyzing the contents. Forensic teams found traces of blood in the bottom of the container. These samples returned a match to Ashley Elkins. The same was true when testing was completed on the samples taken from inside of DeAndre's apartment. Ashley's DNA was an overwhelming percentage match to these samples taken from the bathroom, the hallway, and elsewhere inside the unit. Family members met with Chief Berlin and multiple deputy chiefs who gave them an update on what was found. They indicated there was substantial evidence collected at the home of the ex-boyfriend. They also indicated that based upon that evidence, Ashley was murdered. They didn't have her body at that time. They did have good leads on where her body might be. They had a strong suspicion of where she may be. When asked about Ashley's boys, 10 and 7 years old, and what would happen next for them now that they wouldn't have a mom anymore, family members explained it was going to take a lot of family. Everyone there was going to provide the love and support of the family. They did have their father, they had grandparents, and everyone was going to embrace them and support them. That was actually starting right then. The healing was starting in that moment. Investigators learned that trash from the dumpster where DeAndre had emptied his cart would be taken to a transfer station on Groesbeck Highway in Roseville, where it would then be loaded onto another truck and taken to a landfill in Lenox Township. Beginning on January 13th and continuing for 5 straight days, officers from 15 law enforcement agencies combed through a targeted area of 6.5 acres of the Pine Tree Acres landfill. Its total area measured over 370 acres. The trash was sifted through 2 inches at a time, as systematically as possible, in the hope of discovering any items linked to the murder or, if they were fortunate, locating Ashley's remains. Officials stated they got some objects they were taking back for processing, but they weren't sure if they were related to the case or not. They had to do some more work on that. They thought they were in the right spot, they just had more work ahead of them. After a week of searching, the efforts ceased. No remains were found. In the days immediately following Ashley's disappearance, investigators had spoken with DeAndre over the phone twice. During those conversations, he told them that he had met with Ashley at his home on the morning of January 2nd. She came by just to talk sometimes, he claimed. He told them that she left his place on the same day and that he had not heard from her since. When asked if she had left wearing the same clothing as when she arrived, he said yes. When asked to confirm that she left in her silver Malibu, he again said yes. These were, of course, easily disprovable statements. So as investigators continued to compile a case against him for murder and to search for Ashley, they arrested DeAndre Booker for lying to a peace officer. DeAndre was eventually located at a girlfriend's home in Flint. Law enforcement had been able to track him to the location from the cameras and phone data beginning on January 3rd. At just before 6 a.m., after hours of disposing items in dumpsters, an Uber driver collected DeAndre outside of the Motor City pawn shop, which was located near to his apartment. Cameras showed him disposing of a few items there as well before he caught a ride. The Uber dropped him in Flint, where police would find him days later. At the girlfriend's home, they found DeAndre's clothing identical to the items worn by the figure captured on camera disposing of bags of bloody evidence. His black coat with the fur-lined hood, dark ripped jeans, and a black hat.
If you're enjoying this story, kindly do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. It is free and won't cost anything, but it means the world to us. We're just a small channel trying to grow. Thank you, and back to the video.
When DeAndre was arrested in Flint, investigators obtained his cell phone along with a search warrant allowing them to access its data. What they found was disturbing. It also painted a picture of Ashley's likely fate. Beginning on December 29th, 2 days before he booked the hair appointment under a fake name in an attempt to gain entry into Ashley's home, DeAndre searched 9mm silencer, Roseville, Michigan, and murder out of rage. After trying to see Ashley and being turned away, he searched shotgun through pillow and can you track location when phone is off? As well as the disturbing and revealing question, what happens to trash after it's picked up? There were also indications that DeAndre was plotting ways to escape justice. In the days after the murder, while at the house in Flint, he searched what to do on the run, how to beat a polygraph, and finally delete Google history. As DeAndre Booker was arraigned on his initial charges, the search for Ashley continued. He was held on a $250,000 bond. When asked if they believed, based on evidence they had or would look at, that they would find Ashley, an official said they were hopeful and optimistic. They would like to say yes, but it would only happen if somebody or evidence pointed to where that would happen. Somebody might cooperate in the investigation. Sometimes it took a little bit, but they were hopeful. A reporter asked them to repeat what was said that morning regarding the suspect being in a vehicle with a female and then coming back alone, and whether he had help. The official was asked to talk about the relevance of why that was introduced. The official said they believed he acted alone. There was a video portion showing a second female. It was investigated thoroughly. She was not involved. She was an unwitting participant. Since his arraignment, DeAndre Booker's appearances in court have been characterized by unpredictable and unhinged behavior. At his pretrial hearing in August 2025, DeAndre at first refused to sit while in court, even as Ashley's mother took the stand. The judge addressed him, saying he was told earlier that DeAndre did not want to sit. He could sit if he wished, but if he didn't want to, he could stand. There was no response from DeAndre. The prosecutor wanted to place on the record an objection to the defendant posturing in this matter in what was, in their opinion, an attempt to intimidate witnesses that were going to be testifying against him that day. The judge acknowledged that the court ran the courtroom the way it had been run and recognized that point, but the prosecutor wanted to place it on the record. By this time, DeAndre's sordid past had come to light. A veteran of the U.S. Army, DeAndre had gone AWOL in 2017 and was later less than honorably discharged. State prosecutors revealed that he had prior counts of both larceny and fraud. The 32-year-old was unemployed at the time of his arrest. Over several days in his pretrial hearing, evidence of his guilt was meticulously outlined. During this time, he routinely refused to get dressed or leave his cell to attend the hearing in person. Attempts to connect him to the proceedings via video link while partially covered by a blanket mostly failed when he would not agree to stop screaming and cursing. When his video feed was unmuted, DeAndre could be heard screaming to let him go. The judge asked if DeAndre Booker could hear the court. An attorney noted it was obvious that DeAndre was in the cell. He wasn't making himself available. Based upon conversations and meetings with Mr. Booker, the attorney could confirm this. The judge noted it was real clear to the court that Mr. Booker was screaming. He was in the jail cell. Rather than just listen to that, the judge asked if they could have the audio muted. State prosecutors outlined their case through testimony by responding officers, detectives, and lab technicians. They also revealed one missing piece of the puzzle: the identity of the mystery woman who drove Ashley's Malibu from the complex on the day she disappeared. It was speculated that she might have been an accomplice. The truth was that this woman was a family member who testified she had been manipulated. Payne Barksdale was the adopted daughter of DeAndre Booker's sister. Though less than a decade separated them by age, Payne had grown up adoring the man she viewed as her uncle. He had been a supportive figure in her young life. After gradually losing touch over the years, The two had only recently reconnected. On the morning of January 2nd, DeAndre asked his niece to do him a favor. Could she come by in the early afternoon and move his friend's car? Payne testified that he called her and said he needed his friend's vehicle to be removed from his apartment complex because he didn't want to get in trouble. When asked if she had ever been to his apartment complex before, she said no, that was her first time. She didn't know the address but knew it was in Roseville. When asked to explain what he said, she confirmed he called and said he needed help moving a car. It was supposedly a coworker, a male coworker. He said that he had gone to his house. The car wasn't registered, so it didn't have any plates. He had just bought the vehicle. He didn't have a license. And since she had a license, he wanted her to drive it to his coworker's house. He said the cops were active in that area. So with her having a license, if she was to get pulled over, she wouldn't be in trouble. When asked if at some point on January 2nd she went to the defendant's apartment, she said yes. DeAndre requested an Uber from her apartment to go to his apartment. Payne followed DeAndre's directions to the location of an apartment complex he claimed was home to his friend, and they left the car there. He told her his friend wanted the keys left on the seat. Before ordering an Uber to drive them back, he carried a bag from the car to a nearby dumpster and disposed of it. The final stop DeAndre asked Payne to make was to a nearby beauty supply store. Cameras captured the Uber in the far right edge of its frame driving into the store parking lot. Payne exited the car and entered the store while DeAndre waited in the vehicle. He asked her to pick up a couple of items. Investigators suspected that this was when Ashley's cell phone was powered back on in an attempt to register her location at the store and not at DeAndre Booker's apartment. Payne testified that DeAndre asked her a question. If you turn a phone off, will anyone still see your location? She told him that whatever location the phone was at before the phone was turned off, then yes, they could see that last location. And then he asked if him and she could share locations. When asked if this conversation happened after they were at Kelly Beauty with the defendant, she confirmed yes. Preliminary hearing in August 2025 unveiled an impressive 200 pieces of evidence. Considering the volume of information presented, the judge agreed with the defense's request to extend a ruling until the full court transcripts along with every piece of evidence could be thoroughly reviewed. This process was expected to take several months. At that time, further arguments were likely to be presented before a decision was made about whether DeAndre Booker would continue to trial. For Ashley Elkins' family, the investigation had provided many answers, though of course not complete closure. The question remained, what could possibly have caused the rage towards Ashley that DeAndre referenced in his searches days before she disappeared? What motive could he have had to take his ex-girlfriend from her children? When asked to describe their relationship and if the family member had been around them when they were together, they explained that DeAndre was around the whole family. They thought he was the one who was going to marry Ashley. He was good to her kids. He played ball with them. He took them to get their haircuts. He was there. He was always in their house. The family cooked for him. He was part of the family. So they were really shocked that he would do something like this. Another family member addressed DeAndre directly, saying they had accepted him. They accepted him into their family. He met Ashley's grandmother. He met her aunt. He met all her father's side of the family. He was good to those boys. They said he didn't think about how it would affect those boys, the ones he got haircuts for, the ones he kept sometimes when Ashley had to run errands, the ones he played ball with, the ones he took to the park. He didn't care about them. A GoFundMe page has been launched to raise money intended for a trust to financially support Ashley's two young sons. They remain in the care of their father and other family members. As of the publication of this documentary, Ashley Elkins has not been found. This was the tragic case of Ashley Elkins, a devoted mother whose life was stolen from her and her children by someone she once trusted. Her family continues to seek justice and closure, while her two young boys face a future without the mother who loved them deeply. Every crime leaves a trace, and we're here to follow them. Subscribe for more real, haunting stories you won't forget.